It's March 29th, 1982. We're in the Louisiana Superdome for the NCAA final between the Georgetown Hoyas and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Georgetown is protecting a delicate 1-point lead, and UNC has the ball and 20 seconds to do something with it. To fully understand the stakes involved and why the ball is currently sailing towards some freshman named Michael Jor-dan, hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, to appreciate it all, let's rewind. This game has been described as a coach's battle, and if you needed any indication of the stress and effort involved for the coaches, check out the Hoya head coach's right shoulder. That, I believe, is a full-sized bath towel for in-game sweat removal. And you might think the towel looks a little smaller than a bath towel, but keep in mind, it's draped over a 6'10", 300-pound man. John Thompson is a former NBA center. He served as Bill Russell's backup for 2 years, won 2 rings, and then was like, "See ya, NBA, I think my life is better spent making my hometown Washington, D.C. a better place." Georgetown brought on Thompson to turn their rather shameful program around after an abysmal season. Within 3 years, Georgetown was in the NCAA tournament. This year is their 4th consecutive tournament appearance, their first ever final appearance. How'd Thompson make Georgetown so good? By being a hard ass. Specifically, the kind of hard ass who's proud of being a hard ass. If I say ass one more time, we legally can't get sponsors on this video. Thompson wasn't an unreasonable coach, and his players liked him even though he was tough. Now, of course, you need good players under a hard coach in order to get results. And lucky for Georgetown, Thompson has a knack for identifying and then developing talent. The majority of this year's starters were not heavily recruited out of high school, including All-American Eric "Sleepy" Floyd. Thompson calls this group the body and soul of the team. Now, it's not like the coach turns his nose up at highly touted, heavily recruited players. See? Freshman Patrick Ewing, standing at 7 feet tall, could also probably be called the body of this team. Often compared to Bill Russell, the freshman was a force, and Thompson found the best way to utilize that force. This year, Georgetown was all about defense. That's how they scored points. I'll explain. They play a 1-3-1 zone with Ewing down low, stopping any and everything that dared come his way. Even if he wasn't in a shooter's face, just knowing he was on the floor, waiting to pounce, could alter shots. Having such a superhuman presence under the basket allowed Georgetown's quick guards to take risks and get steals, which they often got. Then they converted those turnovers to fast break points, usually from Sleepy Floyd, and often from Ewing, who could run with the guards on those fast breaks. And this year, Georgetown didn't merely make the final. They beat their tournament opponents by an average of 13.5 points. That's with their Final Four game dragging down that average. Louisville gave the Hoyas some trouble. They found out how to handle Patrick, and Sleepy went cold. But the Hoyas still generated 18 turnovers and won the game, which is what matters here. Besides, tonight, the Louisville game is ancient history. Floyd is back to normal, or what's normal for him, which is an abnormal amount of success. Ewing is having one of his best offensive games ever. But right now, Thompson's famous smothering defense doesn't need to generate offense. It just needs to hold on to their lead. Dean Smith, the other side of this coach's battle, has just drawn up a play to beat that D. And while he doesn't have a towel over his shoulder, something tells me he's pretty stressed. Maybe it's the standing up. Or maybe I'm just inferring from the situation. Dean Smith has coached at UNC for 21 seasons and accomplished quite a lot. Like Thompson, he's proud of his reputation. Okay, he's never said as much, but I think it's fair to assume anyone who's called a genius feels some pride. Smith earned his rep with innovations like the foul line huddle, the run and jump pressing defense, and the four corners stalling offense. But not everybody loves him. Here's a selection of quotes from some fellow coaches. Maybe these coaches are just punching up. Nobody likes the guy who beats them. Maybe Smith catches so much flack because there's a holier-than-thou, goody-two-shoes aspect to him. He's more than once gotten on the PA mic to admonish the UNC crowd for not being polite to refs or opponents. When a restaurant called Four Corners opened up in North Carolina, Smith took out a newspaper ad to say it had nothing to do with him. That level of Boy Scoutery isn't gonna make you any friends. Also driving away friends, the fact that one of his innovations, the Four Corners offense, is pretty damn annoying. Basically, if UNC has a lead toward the end of the game, Smith instructs his players to spread out in the half court and pass the ball around the perimeter without looking to score. And while it's technically within the rules, there's no shot clock or anything, it feels a little cheap. And worse yet, is extremely boring to watch. Oh, and the main reason Smith gets criticized, there's a pretty easy point of attack. He's never won a title. The closest he got was 1977 against Marquette, when his stalling offense let him down. Concluding sentiment was, maybe Dean Smith is a little too smart for his own good. His career has come to be defined by what's not on his resume. Smith denies that he cares, but he sounds pretty defensive, and claims there's no monkey on his back because all those years he got close and failed, he wasn't the favorite. Kinda puts a lot of pressure on tonight, because this UNC team was a consensus preseason pick and is currently ranked number 1 in the country. They're the favorite. And right now, there's nothing more Dean Smith can do to capture his white whale. I mean, I guess he could yell some advice, but you know what I'm saying. It's up to the players. Presumably, one of these two players. James Worthy and Sam Perkins are the stars of this team. Both play in the post. Worthy's got power and finesse. He can handle the ball as well as he can throw down dunks. Perkins is more finesse. He's got a mid-range jumper and shot-blocking acumen. The rest of the starting 5 complement the big men with outside shooting that keeps defenses honest. UNC only lost 2 games all year. One was when Perkins was out sick. The other, okay, that one was kind of their biggest regular season game. But honestly, what can you do other than get crushed when your opponent has a 7'4" center? Dean Smith actually had an answer for that when UNC met Virginia again in the ACC final. You can stall him to death. Up 1 point with 7.5 minutes left, UNC went into their Four Corners offense. Let's take a look at the action. Guard passes to guard, passes back to guard. Guard holds it, holds it, holds it. UNC did not shoot for 7 minutes and 6 seconds. They just played catch. Parents don't watch their own children play catch for that long. But ACC fans can boo for that long. Smith won the game but made 0 friends. Don't think that concerned him. In the tournament, UNC's use of the Four Corners has been unabated. The strategy came in handy when JMU gave the Tar Heels a scare in Carolina's first game. Worthy and Perkins played well, but the 9th seed hung in there. With just a 1-point lead and a minute and a half left, UNC stalled, and essentially Smith saved his season with the Four Corners. In the Final Four, the fans breathed a collective sigh of irritation when Smith started stalling at 7 minutes left. But then Worthy showed there was occasionally an exciting side to the Four Corners. And then the offense worked like it was supposed to. UNC got the fouls and made the foul shots. And won the game. But no matter how well the Four Corners has served them in this tournament, UNC can't use it now. Because they're not winning. They need a couple of points. Which might not be so easy. They've been patiently passing the ball around the perimeter for about 10 seconds since they inbounded. Right now, the ball's on its way not to Perkins, not to Worthy, but to freshman shooting guard Michael Jor-dan. Jor-dan wasn't super heavily recruited out of high school. He eventually had a handful of offers, but UNC's program was the most appealing. He earned a starting spot, which was unexpected and unusual for a freshman under Dean Smith. Jor-dan nearly cried when he found out just before UNC's first game. And turns out the coach knew what he was doing. The freshman's role was to complement stars Worthy and Perkins with outside shooting, to be a threat so defenses couldn't collapse on the big men inside. Secondly, Jor-dan proved to be a great improviser on fast breaks and a stealthy offensive rebounder. And, added bonus, the freshman showed flashes of brilliance, which served UNC very well. They wouldn't have their ACC championship without it. And I know the story out of that game was Dean Smith is ruining basketball, he owes me 7 minutes of my life back. But in order to stall for 7 minutes, UNC had to get a lead. And that lead came from Michael Jordan. But nobody's perfect. Jordan was inconsistent and struggled with a shooting slump toward the end of the season through the start of the tournament. And when Jordan struggled, so did his team. In their 2 regular season losses, Jordan's shot was off. Even worse, in that Wake Forest game, he was hesitant to shoot. His job was to shoot when others were shy. He had to at least make the defense think about covering him. And in that JMU game that nearly sent the Tar Heels home early, Jordan did not play like the ACC Rookie of the Year. But the nice thing about being inconsistent is you're good sometimes. For the rest of the tournament, Jordan shot 50% or better. Tonight he's on par there and has played aggressively, with poise and confidence. Thus, he's accomplished his job of being a great complement to Worthy, who is the main offensive generator this game. Of the Tar Heels' first 22 points, 16 belonged to Worthy. But as well as Worthy and Jordan were playing, UNC wasn't going to take a commanding lead. The competition was too good. Neither team is dominating this game. There have been 14 lead changes so far. These teams are well matched. The Tar Heels were up by 1 with about 3.5 minutes to play when they spread out to the 4 corners. But Jordan soon saw an opening and ended the game of catch fairly quickly. UNC up 3. Fellow freshman phenom Ewing cut it to 1 with a 15-footer. With under a minute left, Sleepy Floyd was like, actually, I don't really like the name Sleepy. It doesn't match what I can do. See? Georgetown up 1. Dean Smith calls time. And here we are. John Thompson's towel has reached maximum absorption. A hook with a worm dangles above Dean Smith's white whale. Georgetown's vaulted defense needs to be at its best for 20 more seconds. UNC's often criticized offense needs to attack and put points on the board, and their inconsistent freshman is about to catch the ball. Welcome to a moment in history.
The time, 18. Shot, Jordan! Michael Jordan! 14 seconds!
And there's still time on the clock. Did Georgetown retaliate? Well, no.
He threw it to Worthy! It's over! It's over!
Thanks for watching, my friends and family members who watch out of obligation. We've got more great videos. You can subscribe by clicking right here. For Secret Base, I'm Clara Morris. Good night and good game.